So I'll just admit right off the bat that yes, there is still a very big part of me that wants to be a mermaid. I feel like if we're just honest with ourselves, we all feel this way. And from an interior styling lens, tapping into your inner mermaid as an adult can unlock so many dreamy, ethereal, otherworldly style options that can really help you expand what pretty actually means in your space. So in this video, I'm going to explore the Mermaidcore aesthetic and give you a bunch of decor ideas that will help you turn your apartment into a beautiful mermaid cove. And then I'll show you how some of the decor pieces I found could come together in a bedroom design I created. So decide what color your mermaid hair is. Mine is green. What your fin scales look like. Mine are sparkly. What shells your bikini top is made of. Mine are sand dollar A cups. And dive into the shimmery waters of Mermaidcore with me. And if you're new here, my name is Steffi and this is Helo, and on this channel I talk about small apartment styling tips, cozy living, some of the more niche, alternative, and fantasy-driven styles, and the joys of living alone. So if you're into that, consider subscribing and giving this video a like. So first, what is Mermaidcore? It's an aesthetic that's inspired by mermaids, of course, but mermaids can be and have been interpreted in so many ways throughout the ages. It seems like every culture has their version of mermaids, and these legends are often quite dark. I mean, do you know how the real Little Mermaid ends? She doesn't get married to the prince and live happily ever after, I can tell you that much. She dies and turns into sea foam. And then with Greek mythology, the origins of mermaids are often tied to sirens, who we all know use their beautiful voices to lure sailors to their deaths. And just across the board in terms of lore and mythology and pop culture, mermaids are often very dark and powerful figures. I mean, in One Piece, the mermaid princess Shirahoshi is a straight-up teenage weapon of mass destruction. So with all this darkness in mind, is there really that much of a difference between mermaids and sea witches? Like some kind of psychological Ariel Ursula complex? Where on the one hand, we're the bright-eyed, innocent ingenue looking for love, and on the other hand, we're the powerful and dangerous old hag who just wants those rowdy sailors to leave us alone. I feel like that pretty much just sums up human nature, at least as a woman in the 2020s. And this is why when doing Mermaidcore in a room, you can really slide between the spectrum of soft and ethereal and dark and menacing. So my Sea Witch aesthetic video I did a couple months ago, you can use any of that stuff for Mermaidcore, really. These two videos are good companions to each other. But for the sake of differentiating the two, I'm gonna lean into the other side of the spectrum with this video. But soft and ethereal doesn't mean weak. When it comes to their folklore, all the way up to modern day fiction, mermaids aren't just hotties with fins. They're powerful. And they inhabit the most mysterious and largely untouched last frontier of our planet, the ocean. To be a mermaid would make you the most powerful adventurer on Earth. Being able to dive into the unknown depths of the sea and just witness what's there, you might as well be an astronaut. So as I get into these decor ideas, you're gonna get the softer, dreamier side of Mermaidcore. Because again, my Sea Witch aesthetic video already exists. But with the folklore and symbolism of mermaids in mind, you'll know that simmering under the surface of that softness is just as much power as any sea witch. So with that, let's get into the Mermaidcore decor pieces I found. And once again, I am going to decrown myself because this is hurting my head. All of my cool little cosplay pieces I've been getting for my fairy summer series have been like low-key torture devices. Speaking of my Fairy Summer series, just a reminder, you can watch this playlist to catch up. I've done Hobbitcore, Fairycore, Elfcore, Castlecore, so many cores, so little time. So if you're into these like fantasy aesthetics, definitely check out this playlist. Okay, my scalp can breathe again. So with this style, you can bring together, of course, all kinds of sea-themed elements, from literal mermaids to more general nautical things like ships, anchors, shells, anything a mermaid would interact with in her ocean environment. But also, when I was looking for wall decor for this video, I was very focused on vibes. Little kitty. To me, Mermaidcore isn't just about the subject matter of mermaids and other oceany things. It's also about evoking a feeling, that ethereal, dreamy, otherworldly feeling. So any art pieces I found of literal mermaids had to also pass a vibe check. Like, see how these give off a kind of ethereal energy? They may be literal depictions of mermaids and therefore run the risk of being a little predictable and on the nose for this style. But aside from their straightforward subject matter, they also bring, well, a vibe. Like, this one feels calm and even a bit angelic. And I love how this mermaid is kind of pensively gazing up at the surface, yearning to be part of our world. Or maybe the opposite, actually. Maybe she's thanking Poseidon that she doesn't have to deal with this shit show of ours on land. Whatever is going through her mind, the colors and shimmery light play have that glowy, ethereal look I'm talking about. So it passes that vibe check. And so does this one. I love this kind of hazy pinkness and how the sky looks like a shimmery Rorschach test. And it almost looks like this mermaid washed up on the beach of like another planet. I mean, alien mermaids, sign me up, always. Then there's this mermaid, who looks like she jumped into Monet's water lily pond. Haven't you ever looked at that Monet painting and thought to yourself, I sure would like to jump into that? Yeah, same here. Who hasn't? Well, this mermaid did. And she brought a whole bunch of sparkliness with her. And as I'm describing these, I'm realizing what they all have in common that creates that dreamy atmosphere I'm aiming for here. It all comes down to light. Glowy, hazy, shimmery light. That's where the ethereal magic is. And even though these are the more straightforward mermaid art pieces I'm featuring, it's the light that makes them more than just pretty mermaid pictures. It's the light that transports you to another world. Then, to round out the literal mermaid art, I have a few options that are a bit more subversive or open to interpretation. Yes, they're mermaids, but there's a little more to them, you know? A little more of a narrative on top of the vibes. Like this one. What's going on here exactly? It's a mermaid with her head in a swimming pool, ass in the air, as if mermaids are supposed to have human asses and they can pull their fins down like pants. It's beautiful, but absurd. It's provocative and confusing. It'd be something that would elicit some questions and conversation from guests, which in my opinion is always a good thing. Same with this one. She's breathing out jellyfish smoke. There's an edge to it. It raises questions and makes you think, like, what's going on here? Who is this mermaid? And why is she smoking jellyfish? And then there's this mermaid. Is she saving this man from the perils of a shipwreck? Or did she pull him from his life raft to escort him to his doom? Could be either, don't you think? Your mind can venture into multiple storylines here, and that makes it more visually interesting. It just makes you want to look at it a bit longer and try to figure it out. And then this one is pretty straightforward, yet not straight at all. It takes the classical siren tale and flips it on its head, where instead of a dumbass horny sailor being lured to his death, it's a lovely, consensual gay experience, wherein a woman is far better equipped to take on the sirens than a silly little man. So do you see the kind of dance between atmospheric vibes and subversive storytelling? You can use both to create a Mermaidcore environment that's both pretty and dreamy, as well as thought-provoking and open to interpretation. And then aside from these literal depictions of mermaids, you can also, of course, lean into really any nautical elements to create a cozy, deep sea retreat for yourself. The options are really endless, but here are a few. Vintage pieces like this are ideal. This mirror in particular looks like something you'd find in an old fisherman's shack surrounded by glass floats and various ocean detritus, owned by a curmudgeonly retired crabber who has accumulated all kinds of treasures and trinkets from his dealings at sea. And then something like this macrame wall hanging takes a nautical spin on a boho decor classic. And it also just looks like something a mermaid would make, don't you think? Like a hippie mermaid who shops at the local coral farmer's market and grows a special kind of seaweed totally legally in her backyard. This is definitely her craftsmanship, I think. That's just where my mind goes. And my own delusions aside, I think this would bring a nice little touch of boho to a room, Mermaidcore or not. Then this piece of wall art would also be perfect for a Mermaidcore room. Remember how I said being a mermaid would be like being an astronaut of the sea, exploring the galaxies of oceans we've barely touched? This embodies that sentiment to me. It looks like this whale swallowed up all those mysteries of the sea and the starry sky, along with a ship that's trying to navigate it all. It's Pinocchio meets 2001: A Space Odyssey. And then finally, for wall decor, I really like the idea of incorporating wallpaper that gives kind of an abstract, watercolory impression of the beach. So like instead of a literal photograph of the beach or ocean, something like this gives off the energy and mood of a misty cove. And I personally love the more gloomy weather here, but that's just a personal preference thing for me. Give me a cloudy, spooky beach over a tropical, sunny one any day. But aside from the sort of cloudy, gloomy look I love, this also plays into the ethereal vibes I've been going for here. It's very dreamy, almost like a faded memory of a beach, which feels very romantic and visually interesting to me. All in all, what these Mermaidcore wall decor pieces I've gathered have in common is that dreamy romance, the ethereal vibes, and the otherworldliness that mermaids really represent. But you can take this in so many different directions. Look for nautical things, look for mermaids, of course, and think about what your own sort of interpretations of the mysteries of sea could be. Now let's move on to some decorative accents. Now, I'm gonna warn you, you're about to see a lot of seashell decor. It can't be avoided. Not that that's something that deserves a warning, but I'll admit it might feel borderline repetitive. But if you keep up with my videos, you know my thoughts on repetition. It's a very reliable styling tactic to create a sense of cohesiveness in a room. So just allow me to indulge in an overabundance of shell things for this video, okay? Take this gorgeous piece, for example. It's handmade and hand-painted, and I love the pearlescent shine she has to her. And it would be such a pretty addition to a Mermaidcore shelf arrangement, maybe to top off a stack of books, or to couple up with a glowy candle. I mean, imagine how dreamy this would look when lit by candlelight. And speaking of candlelight, of course, there are some really lovely shell candle options out there. These are a couple I found. One that's more playful and whimsical, and one that's more simple and minimalist. This one is just pure fun and appeals to the kid in me. It's just unpretentious dopamine decor, you know? Lighthearted and unabashedly girly, which suits the mermaid vibe nicely. And then this candlestick holder is a more subtle, chic option. This could fit into any interior style, really. If it were me, I would get at least a couple of these and arrange them with other items on a console table or dresser, and maybe pair them with a couple of these shell wine glasses. I mean, these are just cool, you know? I mean, imagine having these out at a dinner party you're throwing at your apartment, you know, if you have room for people for a dinner party. These would be great conversation pieces and would add a touch of mermaid whimsy. I don't know about you, but I personally would relish the idea of drinking out of a beautiful shell wine glass like some kind of mermaid princess. I feel like I was born to do that. And what's cool about these is they can also be decor, you know, not just functional wine glasses. I'm actually not sure just how functional they would be. They might be kind of cumbersome to drink out of, but that's neither here nor there. Either way, at the very least, they're cool pieces of decor. They would add a nice little pop of shell to a shelf arrangement. A shelf arrangement. I'm done. I quit YouTube. As if I could do a YouTube video about Mermaidcore and not throw in at least one shell pun. I mean, what's a girl to do? Some things just can't be helped. And then another kind of decorative accent that would be perfect for Mermaidcore would be something like one of these little trinket dishes made of shells. Something like this would be so pretty on like a vanity or on top of a dresser where you want to throw some of your jewelry or other little odds and ends. And to me, this looks like something a mermaid really would have, you know? So if you want to really go deep into your own personal mermaid fantasy, then buy pieces of decor that will help you delude yourself. And things like these little shell trinket dishes would be perfect for that. And then something like this cutting board would be a perfect little touch of Mermaidcore to a kitchen or really anywhere, on a coffee table or as a serving tray on an ottoman. What I like about this is it's not directly a mermaid or even nautical reference, but it gives that impression. It looks like mermaid scales, pretty iridescent mermaid scales. And then you could also get something like this crown. This one's for those of us who feel deep down to our cores that we were destined to rule the seven seas, but by some sick twist of fate, we aren't. It's regal and whimsical, and yes, you can wear it on your head, but I like the way this Etsy shop styled it on a bust. This combo would make for a cool marriage between Mermaidcore and light or dark academia, like nautical academia or aquatic academia. Wet academia. What do you think it should be called? And finally, for decorative accents, I have a couple throw pillows. This mermaid pillow has a lovely Art Nouveau meets 40s pinup girl vibe, kind of like a saucy siren, Rosie the Riveter. She'd add a fun, vintagey cheekiness to a Mermaidcore room, you know, a little va-va-boom, which frankly every room could always use a little more of, in my opinion. Then this moon pillow not only has a seafoam green color, but I think working moon imagery into Mermaidcore or the Sea Witch aesthetic or any nautical style always feels right, given the moon's connection to the tides. There's just a poetic union between the moon and the sea, and that's fun to play into for these kinds of aesthetics. So between mermaids, moons, lots of seashells, and all matters of nautical visuals, Mermaidcore decorative accents really can range between the literal and the poetic, all with the goal of creating a dreamy, mermaidy cove for yourself. Now let's get into some lighting options. There's this light fixture, a vintage Capiz shell pendant lamp, which would add such a pretty opalescent pop to a space, as well as a nice warm glow. If you think about it, a nautical style like Mermaidcore will likely have a cooler color palette of blues and greens, so a warm pop of gold like this would add a nice contrast. And it would be sort of like the sun shining through the surface of the sea. And then something like these sconces would be absolutely perfect for Mermaidcore because, of course, these are mermaids. And I like that it looks like they're fishing for light orbs and they're reeling in a big catch for you. And oh boy, you'll be feasting on some gorgeous glowy light tonight thanks to them. And they also bring to mind glass floats as well. So we have a few sea-oriented metaphors going on here. So these are perfect on multiple levels. Also, Pottery Barn has some cool little coastal nightlight pieces that come in a bunch of different shell and coral shapes. These would provide pretty little pockets of light throughout a room while also driving home the aquatic theme. And yes, I know, more shells. But you know what? Mermaids would probably decorate with a lot of shells too. So I'm really just doing what they would want. And then something like this floor lamp would add some really pretty mermaid glamour to a room. These teardrops make me think of shimmery mermaid scales, but it's also versatile enough to work for lots of different interior styles. So if you wanted to switch away from Mermaidcore at any point, a lamp like this can transition with you to pretty much any look. All in all, when shopping for lighting for Mermaidcore, just think about glowy atmosphere, maritime metaphors, and get into a mermaid mindset. A nice, calm, quiet, softly lit headspace. Just think like a mermaid. So those were the decor pieces I found. Now let's see how some of them could come together in a bedroom design I created. And with this design, I was definitely leaning into the soft side of myself, I would say. I don't typically gravitate toward this kind of soft color palette, but I really wanted to play with the idea of dreamy seafoam vibes for this look. I do so many dark, moody styles that I really have to seize the opportunity to do something like this. And as I've been really drilling in this video, Mermaidcore is perfect for a soft, ethereal moment. And you'll see I also added some furniture to complete the bedroom, like this shell-shaped headboard that looks perfect for a mermaid princess's boudoir. And then these nightstands I love because don't you think they look kind of like sand on the beach that's been shaped by waves? Like, look at that wavy, sandy pattern. It's beachy without being directly beachy, you know? And then there's this dresser with hardware that made me think of mermaid fins, while also having an overall antique-y look and aqua color, perfect for this style. Then there's this rug with a design that reminded me of seaweed. It's organic and botanical and would fit with so many different styles, but it also has the seafoam color and kind of a seaweed look to it, you know? So you see this dance between subtle nods to the ocean and direct references to mermaids. This is how you keep things, you know, elevated and stylish without getting into that cheesy territory. And like I said, you can play anywhere within the spectrum of mermaid to sea witch. Between this Mermaidcore video and my sea witch aesthetic video, you'll have plenty to chew on when it comes to expressing your own Ariel Ursula complex. Let me know in the comments below, when decorating, do you consider yourself more of a mermaid or more of a sea witch? Also tell me in the comments, when you would play mermaids in the swimming pool with your friends, what color hair would you have? What would your fin look like? And what kinds of seashells would your bikini top have? Let's play mermaids together in the comments. And if you love these fantasy aesthetics, remember I have an entire playlist of the videos that I've been doing this very summer. And I know that fall is fast approaching, but fear not, I am just gonna keep doing fantasy themed videos. I'm a fantasy channel now. Fellow nerds rejoice. And then also I'll still do like apartment styling content, cozy stuff, you know, just maybe more through the like lens of fantasy, you know? That's just what I'm thinking. Let me know if you have any ideas or things that you would like to see. And remember, watch this playlist to get caught up on all of the fantasy aesthetics I've covered so far.